Hello viewers, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. How are we all today, wherever you are in the world when you're watching? A huge shout out to you. Thank you all for your feedback on my tarot scopes. If you haven't got notifications for them, just go onto my site and have a look, and you'll find them there from all sun signs there. Therefore, your sun sign, your rising sign, or wherever your moon is placed, you can have a look. They are general readings, but somebody was commenting on how accurate they are, and I think I've thought about this, why they do connect with people when they are general readings. I think it is around divine timing as much as anything else, but also when I do those tarot scopes, I actually energetically tune in to that sun sign, and I let the channel come through as I normally would, clairvoyantly and via the cards. And so I think that they are in essence a channeling of the energetic vibration of your particular sign or placement, and you've lived with that all your life. So I'm a budding astrologer as well, and I do believe that astrology reflects this universal law. And that there is accuracy in your birth chart. Right, now having said that, thank you for your feedback on the tarot scopes for March 2021. Let's move into the reading today. I'm just going to draw a few cards from the Good Tarot. 3 messages from Spirit. I'll take three or more cards depending on what is coming through. And then via the Gilded Tarot Royale by Cairo Marchetti, we'll look at a few questions. I want to look firstly at the US stimulus package, how that's going to flow through, what difference that's going to make, and whether or not, what sort of impact it's what sort of impact it's going to make on the economy. I then want to go through, I think, to the former guy's children, particularly his eldest son is now he and Ivanka have been deposed in DC around the inauguration. And of course, as you know, the acting Attorney General there was replaced by Biden. So there's some critical investigations in DC. I think for the former guy's children, apparently, according to insiders or friends or contacts or those in the know, sources on mainstream media, Donald Trump Jr. is quite worried about these investigations. Cyvance in New York has been expanding those investigations to include the Trump children. So we'll take a look at that. What else do we need to look at? Maybe look at some vaccine wars, what is going on. Certainly for Australia, France and Italy have are now threatening or are actually holding back doses. So doses of the COVID AstraZeneca vaccine. So if we've got time, we'll go there. But let's just start with. And we'll throw something on International Women's Day, which I think was Friday, and let's look at, is anything changing? All right, let's start with some general messages from Spirit. General messages from Spirit. Okay, we've got the Hanged Man, so needing to see things in a different way. That's part of the overarching energy of the time that we live in at the moment. We have so many things being revealed to us every day about our leaders, about our governments. It is a time of having to really see the truth of things, but also to stop while we do that. So it's very important. I talked about justice in my previous readings. It's very important that justice is done. And of course, in the US, their Attorney General is still not confirmed, although looks like he'll be confirmed this week. Various Republicans have been trying to hold that nomination process up. Why, we have to ask ourselves. The messenger of air, so the Knight of Swords, came out on cue because that is truth. That is truth coming forward. And the messenger always is there to bring forward information, particularly the swords, the suit of air, or air energy, is about communications, having to see something in a different light and receiving that communication. And the Two of Earth, really this is around making decisions, and I talked about the vaccine and about COVID and about that underlying energy. The stimulus package in the US was only passed by one vote. The Vice President Harris cast her deciding vote. Not one Republican voted. So this is still walking a tightrope politically in many ways, and economically as well. So it's good that I'm going to do a reading on the stimulus. We'll see how that's going to impact on the economy. We've got the King of Fire. So this is the King of Swords at the base of the pack. This is refinding, I guess, it's the inspiration and passion that brings us stability in leadership. The King of Fire. It can also be the movement forward with courage toward seeing that justice has occurred or is occurring. And we've got the Lovers here, or love, strength in love. So we've very much got these more life-affirming energies at the base of the pack coming through now. And the reason, that they are coming through now is because of the I guess the instability of the past. The Nine of Air, it talks about a lot of anxiety and worry still around, but the stability is coming through with this King of Air, the investigators, the justice coming through, and the Six of Wands, movement forward through victories. So even though the stimulus package was only one vote voted, the decider, had not the victory come from Georgia, then there would be no stimulus package. One of the questions I want to ask is, will this go against the Republicans? Not one voted for it. So let's have a look at the impact. $1 trillion, multi-trillion-dollar package. What sort of impact is that going to have on the US economy? And of course, the US economy being strong strengthens, flows out to other economies. The US stimulus package, what sort of impact economically is that going to have? Show me the impact, economic impact of the stimulus package. So we've got the Page of Wands. So straight away it's going to move that economy forward. It's almost like going to kickstart it again. The page is not the Queen or the King, but nevertheless it's a newness coming forward. So this is critical to economies, isn't it? When you get that freshness, that growth, that seed, or the sprouting of new growth. That is what it's going to bring forward. That's very important, because at the base of the pack we have the Two of Swords, things being at the crossroads. Too many heavy forces there, one way or another. The unemployment rate, the closing down of businesses, the welfare, the people needing welfare, the people who are renting, needing to people who can't pay mortgages. There needs to be the stimulus, and it's very telling that not one Republican voted for it. It's going to bring forward that new growth. Challenged by the Seven of Pentacles. So this is obviously the state of the economy. But this is also review. So I feel that there will be, as time goes on, more targeted assistance as well, reviewing how that's working. I don't necessarily see this as the end of government assistance. This is also the rollout of the stimulus. It's going to need very diligent planning to make sure that that new growth occurs. It's going to need tight economic management. Now, the foundation of the reading is the Ten of Wands, and you don't need to be a psychic to tell you that economies everywhere are struggling with the load of 1 year plus of economies being shut down. It's like we need this new growth. We need the vaccines. In the past, we've got the High Priestess, so very, very much using the intuition, not standing in the way of progress. And I do feel, President Biden very much knew that this was the first thing that he had to do. This is really around people. Was a very popular policy. 70% of US voters wanted, or US citizens wanted, that stimulus to go ahead. 44% of Republicans. It's like everyone knew what was needed. So people got out of the way, but only 51 votes. But this is in the past. And it's also things being hidden as well. But that's in the past now. The Page of Pentacles. So we are getting pages. This is growth again. New starts, new growth. But they're only pages, so it's going to take time for it to flow through. Six of Pentacles. I love these cards. People are getting the help they need now. They need this help, and it's a balancing of the scales. Without it, people are going hungry, destitute, needing help right now, and this government is going to give it to them. Judgment in the present position. They will be judged. The Biden administration will be judged well for it, but the Republicans will also be judged for not supporting it. It's not politically sound to do what they did, not one. Judgment, ending of something and the new beginning. It's almost like the tail end of that old 2020 cycle. The environment around is a coming together. This is unification. It's leaving behind disunity and moving toward unification. Now, I'm not saying suddenly everybody, shakes hands and all is well, but this stimulus is critical almost for it's a lifeline in the US. It's the lifeline that was needed, and it took a Biden presidency to bring it through. In the hopes and fears, we've got walking away from spilt cups, from what no longer serves us. This is leaving the past behind, and this very much is in sync with this energy as well. One is turning one's back on what is no longer there, no longer working, loss, turning one's back on loss and stepping forward. You can see the juxtaposition of this card. So let's see what the final outcome is. New starts, new clarities, new plans, new strategies. Very strong outcome. Very strong outcome here. It's going to stimulate. That was my question. It is going to stimulate the economy. Now we've got the standing of one's ground and the Seven of Wands. It didn't pass, did it, by much? And almost back to the wall when you have to cast your deciding vote, had we not had the two senators from Georgia, Kamala Harris, the Queen of Swords, casting her deciding vote. It's going to be attacked by the Republicans because they didn't vote for it, because it will stimulate the economy. They're going to try and tear it down at every opportunity. The US, without a doubt, was at the crossroads. At the crossroads. People burning masks, opening up states when, the virus is still at pandemic levels. Moderation. It was at the crossroads. There needed to be moderation and healing, and it looks like that is coming through. So very positive, practical reading here about what the stimulus will do and the kind of energies around it. The Ace of Swords talks about also bringing forward the truth. We are very much seeing what the truth of things are. I just want to pull a couple of cards on will this hurt the Republicans politically because they didn't support this stimulus. Will this hurt the Republicans politically because they didn't support the stimulus? In Australia, we have the ending of our job keeper strategies as well, and we're bracing here. So will this hurt the Republicans? There are lessons in withdrawing support or not giving support. And of course, I think it cost the former guy the election had he behaved, as a president should. Had he not gone out with rogue kind of divisive political strategies, he lost. And he had a full deck. He was playing with a full deck of cards in terms of how he engineered things in his favour. But he still didn't win. So that says a lot. Will this hurt the Republicans politically? As if they're not hurt enough now. Will this hurt the Republicans? No, not voting for the stimulus. Not one. Will this hurt the Republicans? In moderate states it will. That's what I'm getting. The Eight of Cups. And there's certainly the fear amongst them that it will. Because this came in the fears section. But it's turning away from what no longer serves us. A resignation, if you like. The Page of Swords. In this particular deck, this person looks quite mean, doesn't he? If that's the right word. This is spy in the camp. There's going to be questions around, ultimately, eventually, their loyalty to their constituency and to the voter. Okay, so there are insights that are coming now in moderate. I'm not talking about extremists. They'd all jump on the bandwagon and follow someone over a cliff into the abyss if it resonated with their beliefs, their extreme beliefs. But this is talking about moderate Republicans. Are turning away, will turn away. And this will show up in the midterms as well. The more that they attack that stimulus package and the more it succeeds in the new growth, the more right-thinking moderates, including independent voters, will look at this as a moving away from the Republican Party. Okay, so we've got at the base of the pack, we've got the Six of Cups. So again, this looking toward past stability, looking back at nostalgia, how things once were, bringing forward the higher self. But look what we've got. Clarifying that, we've got the usual card that comes forward with the Republicans. So I don't think it did them any favours to do this. And the more that they resist it and try and attack it, and the more that the new growth occurs, the more that they're going to fall out of favour. And I'm talking about with moderate voters, moderate conservative voters, that are neither to the right nor that are centralist. Okay, let's look at... What else are we going to look at? I did a channeling. I always forget what I need to do because I get so involved in the readings. I did a channeling on Princess Diana, and she did have some things to bring forward, or the energetic vibration that is Princess Diana. And tuning into her energy, she brought a lot of maternal. I felt it was maternal protection for her son, for Prince Harry. The interview with Oprah Winfrey is occurring now, so I want to see what the fallout, because the palace has come forward accusing Meghan of bullying from events 2 or 3 years ago. We've got judgment. It's going to be a lot of judgment on both sides, for and against. There's a polarisation that happens here, which has always happened with Meghan. And, you know, some of the reasons are vilification, whichever way you vilification. Okay, so what's going to be the fallout? What's the fallout from the interview, from the Oprah Winfrey interview for Meghan and Harry? What is the fallout? Stormy seas is what I'm getting, and judgments come forward again. So endings and new beginnings, but also inevitable endings. This was an inevitability at the end of the day because of the situation, which wasn't handled by in a maturer way. And I'm not casting aspersions at the young lovers. I'm casting aspersions at the palace, who would have known, should have known. There seems to be some kind of karmic cycle with royalty when you have the situation that occurred with Princess Diana, occurred again with the Duchess of York, occurring again with Meghan and Harry. Judgment. There's something about an inevitability feel to this card, and of course the judgments that we'll all be making about these two people who are very firmly in love. Okay, there are those that will even question their marriage, or that do think that having a view on their marriage is, I don't know, you know, expressing their views that their marriage won't last very long. That's all part of it as well. So the Six of Cups, challenged by what went on in the past, but also around bringing forward our higher selves. So there's going to be judgments. If that interview, I haven't seen it, but if that interview isn't high-minded, bring forward the higher self, there's going to be judgments. Protection always comes from being your highest self. And if those two do that, the judgment will be favourable. Justice is the foundation of the reading, and balancing the scales. There again, these are karmic cards. These are ill-fated. I won't say ill-fated, but again, that situation that occurred, that we've seen in the past occurring again, around outsiders coming into the palace and falling foul in one way or another. This is also for us to take a look at ourselves, and if we are vilifying anybody, we are not in balance with ourselves. Okay. The Eight of Swords, it's about them being restricted and being extremely anxious about that restriction, particularly the Duchess. She's always lived freely. She's always lived independently. She was an ambassador, and worked in those, I think, was she a UN ambassador? She was an ambassador. She may have been a UN ambassador. She was self-made. You know, she had a website, a following, health and well-being, very much sitting at the centre of her own self-expression. And that was the thing that she thrived on, and that was the thing that was taken away. This is also for Prince Harry as well. I think this is a lifelong restriction that he felt, and worry around what happened to his mother. I think I used the word mortal terror. That I didn't use lightly. So this is in the past. This is now breaking out of restriction, and let's see where they take it in the future. The Knight of Cups in the sky. There's going to be an offering of love, an offering of peace, an offering of love. This will work itself out one way or another. This is not going to be an ongoing feud. One way or another, I think they're going to take the higher route. I haven't seen the interview, but this is going to encourage the palace to do so as well. The Ten of Swords in the immediate future. So there is a potential for healing here. But in the immediate future, we've got the Ten of Swords. So either one or both parties, it's dark night of the soul time for them. And it's a karmic situation. It's a karmic situation with justice and judgment turning up. In the here and now, we have the King of Pentacles. So this is the businessman. Now, anything to do with royalty carries this kind of notion. The aristocracy, wealth, class, the King of Pentacles. It's in the here and now business. They are no longer funded in any way by the palace. They have to make their own way, which is something that Megan has always done. She is a businesswoman. So there's an aspect there of that as well. The Queen of Cups in the environment around. There will be revelations that that will surprise us, that will take us by surprise. The Queen of Cups is also, I think, a metaphor for Princess Diana. So there is all of this here at stake. And in the hopes and fears, we've got the Death card, which is endings. So something, I guess the fear is from both parties, this will be the end of the road. But this is also transformational energy. There's some very major arcana in this reading. A lot of major arcana. If they can do this in a higher-minded way, it will go a long way to healing, because something had to end. And in the outcome position, we've got the Ace of Cups. This is new beginnings. So I'm going to call it a new way, that in the seeds of this ending here, we've got new starts. And manifesting those new starts as well. This is putting something old to bed and bringing forward something new. And I think that is innately what the couple are trying to do. And this is, of course, them together in unity. And the Queen of Swords, this is air energy with the Queen of Wands. It's interesting, two queens. And moving away from this patriarchal controlling energy. This is their family. This is what they've got to do. They've retreated to find and give their family the best chance of moving forward. That Ace of Cups, it marks a new beginning for them. Okay, now what else was I going to do before I finish this reading? We had the stimulus. Ah, yes, International Women's Day. If I've left anything out, I'll pick it up at the next reading. I want to see what is the vibe of what was the vibe of International Women's Day. We have so much going on around the world. We have the governor in New York, of course. Some of that is targeting from political enemies, but at the very least we have a recognition of this aggressive kind of patriarchal energy that mistreats. And of course, again in Australia, we have our Parliament House rife with very, very serious allegations that around rape and sexual assault. So, as we go into International Women's Day, of course, in America they elected someone who had multiple allegations of sexual assault. And of course, we know used porn, escorts, porn stars, made payments to them. Thought nothing of stepping outside the boundaries of his marriage. There seems to be needing an atonement for us letting all of that slide. There seems to be an energy of needing to out that, face it, and rediscover our values around that. So, and that kind of starts with acknowledging what was wrong, or what is wrong. What is the energy around International Women's Day? New starts, the Fool. So somehow, we've got to wade through the sewers to get to that new start. What else is there? Moderation, temperance. This is the Divine Feminine Rising. Major Arcanas, beautiful cards. Beautiful cards. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done before we can start again. Oh my goodness, the World card. I don't think I need anything more. This is all about new starts, resets, the great reset, new starts. Acknowledging that women aren't in those positions of power, and acknowledging why. Acknowledging why there's not wage parity, why there's disparity, why women are still in this day and age subject to this treatment. It's time for a new start, but before we start, we've got to clean out the what has gone on in the past in order to find our values again around this. So I'll probably leave it there. There was something else I was going... yes, the Trump children. I might just do a separate reading on that in my next... Oh, beautiful orb. I'll do a separate reading on that in my next video. So thank you for tuning in on those matters, on those themes, on those questions, and I'll be back again with a new reading soon. Thank you.